Hi guys, this is Dr. Llama with Lattes and Llamas, and today I'm going to show you how to knit the joins on your double knitted Geek-A-Long squares. I'll be using small sample squares in order to demonstrate the technique. Actual Geek-A-Long squares for most years are 45 stitches by 57 rows. These I'm working on are 12 stitches by 15 rows, but you'll do exactly the same thing on the larger squares. So to get started, you need the yarn that you're going to knit your join with. I'll be using purple on pink and yellow squares. You'll need waste yarn, and you need a lot of it, so don't go for something nice. This is a good reason to buy a $3 hank of big box yarn, because you're just going to cut it up into a bunch of these little tails to hold stitches while you're not using them. All right, for each square, you're going to need 4 pieces of waste yarn. You need needles, which are ideally the same size or even the same needles that you use to knit your squares. And you'll need a tapestry needle when you do the grafting. To get started, you're going to choose right or wrong side. It really doesn't matter where you start. We'll knit first one side and then the other. You're going to work on the edge of the square. So if this is the square, bottom, top, side edge, we're going to be doing the side edge. Inserting your needle through the bottommost stitch of either side. So here, because I'm working on the pink side, I'm only looking to catch a pink stitch, not a yellow stitch. And I'll put my other needle in as if to knit. Grab your join yarn, pull a stitch through, and for the time being, I'm just going to let this end hang. One of the really nice things about this technique is that because it's double-sided, we can be super cavalier about knots and ends, so you don't need to do anything fancy with them. So for now, just leave it go. I have 15 rows, so I'm going to pick up 15 stitches. This one counts as my first stitch. Note that on double knitting, every other row as you pick up is going to be a little bit tighter and a little harder to pick up, but just muscle your way through it. Just knitting all along the edge. When I pick up every stitch, I'll just do a sanity check and make sure I have 15 stitches, which is equal to my number of rows. If I was doing one of my 45 by 57 Geek-A-Long squares, I would take a step back and make sure I had 57 stitches. I've picked up my last stitch, so I'll just do a double check. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, right? Turn your work, and now I'm going to purl. On this first row, I'm going to decrease a couple of stitches. Double knit stitches are wider than they are tall. Because I picked up all 15, and I do recommend you pick up every stitch, I find it's just cleaner. That means that I have 3 more stitches on my vertical side than my horizontal sides, on the sides than on the top and bottom. That means I want to decrease 3 stitches on this row, because if I have 12 stitches in my row and 15 rows, I want it to be 12 on all sides. You want it to match the smaller number so it'll be a nice even square. That means I'm going to decrease 3 across this row, and I'm going to do it by just purling 2 together. Again, don't get precious about this. It's really going to disappear into the edge of the square. You want them more or less evenly placed, but don't overthink it. So I decreased 3 by purling 2 together, and now I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So that's what we wanted. I'm going to go ahead and just knot that original end to my working yarn. Again, You can be really, really fast and loose with knots on this, which is nice. We're just gonna tuck these ends in when we're done. I'll go ahead and knit and purl one more row, cut my yarn, and using a tapestry needle, slip these 12 live stitches onto a piece of waste yarn. Thanks to the magic of television, we can show you one that's already finished. You're doing both sides of each square, front and back. So there are four edges. All of mine have 12 stitches. If you were doing the full-size Geek-A-Long square, you would have decreased from 57 to 45 over the course of that first purl row, right? And you would have 45 on each piece of waste yarn. You want to go ahead and do every single square in your blanket, doing the side edges. We will use the outside edge when we do our edging, so you don't need to worry right now about which square goes where. Just do the side edges of every square. Once you've done that, come see me for the next video.